You know what's funny? Most people think the craziest thing about me is that I talk about my dreams. It's not. The craziest thing about me is I listen to them. Years ago, long before earthquake swarms started making headlines, and long before people began paying attention to some of these geological changes, I kept having the same kinds of experiences over and over again. Call them dreams, call them visions, call them messages from source, call them a subconscious mind putting puzzle pieces together. Honestly, I don't care what label people use. What mattered to me was how real they felt. There were places I would see before I ever went there. There were events I would feel coming years before they appeared on my radar in waking life. And one place kept showing up more than almost any other: New Mexico. Not California, not Yellowstone, not Alaska, New Mexico. At the time, I didn't understand why. I just knew that if I wanted answers, I had to go see for myself. So I did. I packed up my life and I moved down there almost a decade ago. Most people move somewhere because of a job or family or weather. I moved because I had questions. What I discovered only made those questions bigger. The first thing you realize when you spend enough time in New Mexico is that the land feels ancient. Not old, ancient. Like it's carrying stories that most of the world forgot. The second thing you realize is that there's a whole hidden world beneath your feet. Volcanic systems, lava tubes, fault lines, underground structures stretching far beyond what most people imagine. I talked with locals, I listened to stories, I listened to native traditions. I spent years paying attention. And the more I learned, the more I started seeing connections between what I'd been shown in dreams and what was actually sitting beneath the landscape. Fast forward to today. Now we've got earthquake swarms shaking parts of New Mexico. People are asking questions. People are wondering if something bigger is going on. And honestly, I think they're asking the right questions. Because most people have heard of Yellowstone. Yellowstone is the celebrity volcano. Everybody knows Yellowstone. It gets the volcanic that gets all the documentaries, but hidden beneath New Mexico is something most people have never even heard of. Deep underground near Socorro sits an enormous magma body, a giant reservoir of molten rock beneath the crust. Scientists have mapped it, studied it, measured it, and the recent earthquake activity is happening right now above it. Now, before anyone starts running for the hills, that doesn't mean a super volcano is erupting next week. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that this system is alive. The earth is reminding us that it's still moving, still evolving, still doing what planets do. And when you zoom out, things get even more interesting. The Rio Grande Rift cuts through New Mexico. The continent itself is slowly stretching apart. Tiny amounts every year. Nothing dramatic on a day-to-day basis, but over long periods of time, those forces shape worlds. They create pathways. They create fractures. They create opportunities for magma to move. And And beneath all of that sits this massive underground system that very few people are talking about. That's what caught my attention, because when I looked at the science, I couldn't help but remember the things I'd seen years earlier. Not exact predictions, not dates, not calendars, just patterns, themes, warnings about change, dreams about the earth becoming more active, dreams about humanity entering a period where old systems start breaking down and new ones begin emerging. And before somebody says, well, that's pretty vague, maybe, but life usually is. The future doesn't always arrive like a movie trailer. Sometimes it arrives one piece at a time. An earthquake here, a volcanic eruption there, a strange weather event somewhere else, a growing feeling that the world isn't quite as stable as people assumed it was. And eventually enough pieces appear that you start seeing the picture. Maybe that's what's happening now. Maybe it isn't, but I'll tell you one thing I've learned. The people who wait for absolute certainty usually wait too long. The smart people prepare before they're forced to, not out of fear, out of wisdom. There's a huge difference. Fear says panic. Wisdom says prepare. Fear says isolate. Wisdom says build communities. Fear says somebody else will figure it out. Wisdom says become the kind of person who can help. That's why these conversations matter. Not because I want anyone living in anxiety. I don't. I want people becoming stronger, more capable, more connected, because regardless of what changes come in the next decade, those qualities are never wasted. So if you're one of those people who's been feeling that something big is shifting, if you're one of those people who can sense that we're entering a different chapter, if you're tired of pretending everything is normal when every instinct in your body says otherwise, then maybe it's time to find your people. Maybe it's time to start building the communities that can weather whatever storms arrive. Communities built on skills, knowledge, respect, faith, self-reliance, and helping one another when it matters most. That's the future I care about. Not surviving alone, thriving together. And if you've made it this far, I have a small favor to ask. Hit that like button harder than an earthquake swarm rattling New Mexico. Drop a comment below. Tell me what changes you've been noticing in the world. Save this video because 6 months from now, you might remember something we talked about today. Share it with someone who still pays attention to patterns instead of headlines. And if you're ready to walk this road with us, subscribe to the Source Force fam. We're not here to predict the future. We're here to prepare for it. Until next time, trust your instinct, stay grounded, and remember, the earth always whispers before it roars. Till next time, remember, we're all in this together, fam. One love.